So welcome back to season 2.5 of Finding Common Ground. We are in episode 5 of our limited series, Leading from the Messy Middle, our secret guide to millennials or middle managers who just find themselves in a place of what the heck am I doing in this organization and how do I go forward even though I don't always feel like going forward. So in this episode, we're going to be exploring the theme of
stepping into your power.
And with us today is
Brandon. Hi, Brandon Seah. So, I probably would say I'm a person with many hats. So I work for charity Daughters of Tomorrow. I run my own consultancy. So I offer actually retailtainment solutions to SMEs out there. And on the side, I'm also a tarot card reader and an intuitive coach.
Wow, so many side hustles.
Yeah, I like to dabble in many things.
Power to you.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we can just jump right in.
Yeah. I think, Brandon, you are probably one of the more interesting guests because you have that many, not to give away the age, but many years of experience.
Yes.
And many roles that you've played, many different organizations that you are part of. And I think what I want to start from is how you've sustained that passion for yourself across this pretty rich career that you've built for yourself.
Yeah, I started working since I was 16. Approximately it's been 29 years of my life I've been working, but I've kind of had really strong interest in science. So, I went to chemical engineering, had to do my national service. I came out, and I was like, okay, there's not enough jobs out there. How am I going to find other opportunities? So I went into mass comm. So I would say I spent 6 years, understanding the PR world, and doing a bit of events, and then after that I went to retail for about 12 years. And then coming to full circle, now I'm back into communications again.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, what really kept me going is, having a sense of curiosity. And I've always been that kind of person that, I would push myself a bit, in a healthy way, that what are the things that, that will get me excited? I actually live my life with passion, and I think that's so important. I cannot wake up and think that, I'm going to do something, without my heart in it. So, that really has been the fuel so far for me.
And I want to draw those dots between passion and a sense of personal power, right? So for you, how does that look like? Do you ever see the connection point between moving out of your passion and also acting with more power for yourself?
Yeah. So in a lot of ways, I did see the ups and downs of it. When I was working for PR for 6 years, I kind of built myself into a middle manager role. And then after that, having to quit my job and then start from ground zero, completely in a new industry, which is retail, it definitely hit me, and imagining myself, okay, I have to restart again. It was not easy, you are so used to kind of managing people, and then suddenly now you are just back there. But I think what I learned from that is that it truly doesn't matter, because power goes both ways.
Yeah.
It's not just about the title. I felt that I have skills and knowledge that I could share with my managers as well, so it doesn't really matter. The skill sets that I felt that at that point of time when I was working as a visual merchandising person in retail was that, I had great maybe photography skills or some tech skills, that the team didn't have, and, we get to learn from each other. So that's what I liked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like what you're talking about, and I kind of want to hear also from Azrin because like
Put me on the spot.
no. I mean, Brandon's sharing about how he's like in and out of like different organizations at different points in his life, and sometimes he started from what felt like a ground zero position, which can be very like like that got power, man, but there is this sense of like trying to find what is your own version of power or your own understanding of power. And I wanted to know like what was your journey like?
Yeah, I think similar to you, Brendan, I've always kind of tried to make that mold mine. So it's not me fitting into that role, but it's me making that role fit me. So I think I've been quite lucky to have been in spaces that has allowed me to do that. I think particularly here, right? Like you're just putting me in this position of chatting with all these people. I think I would never have thought I would be doing that. We're always trying different things, and that's also
like you're not turning it down though.
Yeah,
and you can.
Yeah,
but you didn't.
I know, and I think that's also kind of part of it, right? There's a level of awareness of what I know I can do, but there's also a level of want to try new things. And I think having that together in one space has allowed me to make this like Stratcom's role an Azrin role. And whatever that means, I'm also still figuring out, but I know that it's important to me that I'm not just doing every single bullet point on the JD, but I'm also trying to make some things fit into some things that may not be on there fit into there based on what it is that I like, want to do, feel that's important for my growth, things like that.
Yeah, I wanted to like pull apart that point Brandon brought to the table about what's that like power goes two ways, or was it knowledge goes two ways? What was your phrase?
Power goes two ways.
Power goes two ways.
Yeah, so unpack that for people who might be listening going like, what? I don't really understand that. And you also mentioned it's not about the title. Yeah.
I mean, why I look at it is giving, Daughters of Tomorrow as an example, I mean, just tapping onto what Azrin was sharing, about how, she is allowing herself to kind of create that opportunity at the workplace, right? I love the fact that even though I am doing a partnerships and operations role right now, for the past 3 years in my job, I was able to bring in transferable skill sets that I never thought that I would imagine, bringing here, you know. So there were two things that I felt like it was so evident that, I was the one that, manifested it. I created it, and it was fun, right? I had the ability to style women, and that was something that I previously had done in retail, but I brought it to the charity organization. There were 3 homes that hit van, allow me to do a home makeover, and that was things that, I would have done in my previous lifetime, but here I am doing in this organization. So I think in a lot of ways, these are all the transferable powers, that, you can do so. And it's truly up to you that how you want to create that opportunity for yourself, and I think that there is a lot of power in saying yes, because you may not know the whole narrative of something, of that opportunity, but, if you give yourself the time to learn and to, figure it out, you never know what might come out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's so important that deepen that, like, saying yes as an act of power. It's the yes comes from something in me, it's like, but if you say yes to the power that be, or yes to the system, but you're not like really resonating with that, then that yes is kind of like a dirty yes, a very disempowering yes. It's like yes, but then you sink a little inside.
Yeah, and I think it's making me think about a conversation I've had with a friend And he was sharing with me the reason why he had left the job. And he was telling me that he makes decisions based on what brings him the least amount of pain, if you will. Yeah.
Wow.
And that made me reflect on why I make decisions or how I make decisions. And for me, I realized then that it was based on the opportunities that I might miss out on. And for some people, you might call it FOMO, fear of missing out. But I think for me, at this point in my career, I'm actively seeking out new opportunities because I don't know what I might discover about myself or what doors it might open in the future.
Yeah.
So while it may cause me pain in the moment, it's the cost that I'm willing to bear because I know the purpose of what I'm doing or why I'm doing that and why I'm saying yes to things like that. Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting because in my head, I just assumed that, oh yeah, everyone's just saying yes to things because it's good for them. But actually people say no to things because they know it's not good for them. And I never thought about it that way.
I guess from the boss perspective, right? Because that cannot be unseen. You can tell me from a middle manager view, like how that sits with you. But I feel for what Brandon said about like knowledge is a form of power, and I get like a bit frustrated sometimes if I work with a ground staff or a middle manager who does not see themselves as having knowledge to offer, right? Like knowledge about, I guess like we can attach expertise to knowledge, but I think it's like different. From a boss perspective, I think there's going to be stuff that I don't know so much stuff about what's going on in an organization, even if it's a small one. I don't know what bugs you guys. I don't know what works better. I don't know what are new technologies or new things that you're looking at and you wish the organization would use. I don't know what are missed opportunities. I only know what I know.
Yeah.
And so for me, I believe that it is healthy for any boss to look at your ground and middle staff and assume they know plenty that you don't know. And therefore, an act of empowerment is to ask them, like, actually, what do you know? And give me an education so we can change things that are just not working. Yeah, and I guess that's why I feel for like the middle and ground who feel like imposters. And I'm thinking, you're sitting on a mountain of information that I don't know. And it feels actually quite crippling for the top if like you keep acting like I'm the one who knows the most because I know the truth. And the truth is I don't know the most. I don't know everything. Yeah. I know some things. I don't know. So yeah.
Totally. Because I mean, I have my junior staff, who, I mean, they're in their early 20s, they came in, I love the fact that they bring fresh perspective to the organization.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important for organization to not just look at age. Every single person that comes in is a contributor.
Yeah.
And a valued staff. I mean, just for example, just 6 months ago, we hired somebody who was 60 years old. But who cares, right? This person have wealth of knowledge that you never know, that can kind of, I kind of feel like every single one of us are the different parts of the organs and anatomy of the human body, right? And it just keeps things functioning in a way, and you never know how it will, know. And I mean, I love the fact that, somebody in the early 20s and somebody in the 60s can come in and, even have the same perspective. So everybody's views are equally important.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what is coming up for me is reflecting on my early career and maybe having opinions, but not always feeling that I can put my voice on the table. And not because I don't feel like I don't have something good to say, but in a room of people that it can be a bit much or a lot or overstimulating for like a small fry, quote unquote, to voice out. And I think that's the practice that I've been actively committing to, putting my voice in more rooms and making myself feel more and more comfortable with that. Because while I don't feel like my thoughts are any less, there's a lot of energy that is required from me as a withdrawn person to step forward and say, hey, I have an idea. Or like, hey, I think this could work instead. And I think that's also part of that conversation that's missing.
Yeah. I guess practically speaking, as to a top or anyone who is just given the responsibility of running a meeting, right? It is good to make space for quiet power. Like people who would prefer to listen more, observe more, and then like save their best for last, which is like, okay, so now I've listened and observed and this is my little offering for you. So I find it's always good to create more, literally create more space and opportunity for people to step into their power. You know, like sometimes if you talk too much or the meeting ends too fast, then the people who are more slower or reflective in their pace don't get the opportunity to say like the magical thing that they want to say. Yeah, and I think not only on the top, but from peer-to-peer level, I think that's when you know your peers' habits the best, right? You know who might be a little bit more withdrawn, you know who might be a little bit more forthcoming. So on a peer-to-peer level, also encouraging your peers to either speak out into the room or even speak to each other so that there's a space for that thought to exist, even if it's not heard by the top eventually. And I think that is something that contributes to the culture of that team in terms of safety and in terms of a thriving group of people.
So interestingly, the middle manager has an important role, not to be like a fortune teller, but you
bring out your tarot cards.
But you need to kind of like be able to read the room well. You know, I felt like there are some of my junior staff who you can see that they want to speak up, but they don't dare. You know, so then I'm like, so what I would do is I would gently walk over to him or her and I'll just nudge and say, you want to talk, right? Why don't you just share your point of view now, you know? So of course, just slowly, little bits, bite-sized, baby step encouragement. I think that really helps. And then you can slowly see them flourishing, you know, in those moments.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think thinking back to so I've been in CG, almost two and a half years now. And I remember at the start of my years here, my voice would shake anytime I have to speak in a room of people. Like I would feel my face, my throat tighten, my heart clenching. Like it's stressful and it's so anxiety ridden for me. And I think never discount the fact that like small practices get you somewhere, because I'm literally speaking into a mic on a podcast now, 2.5 years later. So I think having peers that encourage you to put your voice in the room, but also making a commitment to practicing that is really important.
Oh yeah, trust me, you're talking to an introvert here. Introvert in the extrovert's job. So that's how I've been surviving for the past 29 years.
Yes. It's like that code switch, right?
Yeah. You know, people go to the gym. I practice connecting with people more, I guess. You know, so yeah, funnily.
But it's funny because like I mentioned quiet power and it is a kind of power as opposed to maybe our more familiar like loud power, whatever you want to call it, right? And to some extent, I think people who are well acquainted with quiet power and then they learn louder version of power, that's actually a good place to be, because I think in our society, we don't often talk about the vice versa, like the loud power to learn, the authority that comes from quiet power. I think that's a harder thing to master because we don't normalize that. Like, what if the most talkative person in a room, like, shuts up? And not shuts up from I don't want to speak anymore, but shuts up to observe and then put things together and then offer like a gem. As opposed to thinking like it's class participation, right? It's like I keep talking even though what I'm talking is actually a bit silly after a while and I keep talking. But actually that is not an empowering move.
I'm thinking back again to when I had a first like really big meeting with like a lot of people. And I remember we were going around the room to introduce ourselves, and I think the time bracket for that activity was coming to a close and I was one of the last few people. And I remember quickening my introduction because, okay, there are like a few more people next to me. They haven't had a chance to speak and I need to be quicker. And I remember the next person who went, he was like, hello, I am here. I am ready to introduce myself. I've been waiting all this time. And
my
he
Lord.
took so much space in that room. And I think that was that moment for me when I realized I can also be unapologetic about the space I take in a room. But to see that someone takes it so easily, in that split second, I felt a little bit of envy that that's so easy for them. But like you're saying, right? What's the reverse? Is there any like awareness or is there any rewards for them to practice the reverse because it's such a not celebrated lah, but it's such a tolerated
behavior.
Yeah.
I find that if you are in a higher position of power or you don't mind trying to take power in a meeting or a conversation, right? There's nothing wrong with pausing people. Like if the person is like going into a paragraph and there are like 5 more people who haven't introduced themselves, like I think someone needs to step in and it doesn't have to be the one running the room. Anyone technically has the power to like, can we pause you there? And then affirm like, that was great. We do have 4 more people coming up though. So love for you to like close with 1 more sentence and then let the other 4. And that actually is a power move and anyone can technically do it. But yes, it's existential, right? That does require you to also like
take even more space.
Take up space. But I would definitely like love for anyone listening to practice that. Is there are countless opportunities to practice this because there's always an overtalker somewhere out there. Right? So just practice like, oh, can I pause you there? Because you don't want to say like, please stop. Because like it's just insulting. But a pause is like acceptable.
You can come back to it.
We can come back to you.
I think over talking is definitely wonderful, right? Because, that person is trying to contribute. Maybe also over talking, I mean, people who are in that space generally, they can learn some kind of mindfulness, right? And read the room and then also see, how they can be more aware. I think that's really important, because in a meeting space, there will be people, that they may want to speak up, or then after that you try to take the whole room and it just gets tough. Power, wow.
I think people don't know how to read the room though.
that's the
okay, I'm taking out my tarot cards now.
So I think what we can do to empower ourselves and other people in the room is to help people who cannot read the room. And it's like they can't read the room because there's nothing to read. And the only way they have something to read is if people make explicit.
Give out data points.
Give out data points. Right? It's literally like what does read the room even mean? Because they could be reading the room and just saying, oh, everyone is like smiling and nodding at me. Therefore, it should be fine. It's fine, right? So I think we do ourselves a disfavor when we keep our own thoughts or misgivings or feelings like to ourselves. I think it's okay to normalize like just expressing that we're getting a bit if you're feeling irritated, you don't have to announce to the world like you're irritating me right now. But you can give them something to read like, okay, so can I slow you down there? Can I pause you? Actually, I have something to say and I would love to add on to that, or I disagree. All these are like power statements in a way. Because I think the definition of power I like is like, just to keep it super simple, power is just the ability to move something to where you want it to go. And if the meeting is going south, and the conversation is going to somewhere terrible, you have the power to move it to somewhere better.
Power to me is, just owning your voice, right? And knowing that it doesn't matter what is your destination, who you are, and just really believing in yourself. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, I agree. I resonate with that. And I think for me, it's also, like I mentioned, taking up space in the room. Like, it doesn't matter if your rank is bottom, middle, top. The space that you take is the same and should be the same.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel that way, then what is it about the story you're telling yourself, and also what's the conditions in the room that's making you feel that way?
Yeah.
Because it's both ways. It's not just you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we work with Jess Brennan's idea of like knowledge is a form of power. And you can sit with the idea that knowledge is not expertise.
Yes.
Knowledge is just what do you know and what do people not know. Yeah, so even just revealing right now, I'm wondering about that thing that doesn't work in the project. That is a piece of knowledge that is powerful to put on the table. Yeah, or right now I know the team is struggling to cope with that deadline. That's a form of power.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like, it's great to share what we know or want to know, or invite other people to ask questions about what would you like to know about what's going on. And that's how we can share power in the body of the organization, right? To use your analogy. And like, you know, like if I am an eye or a nose or an arm or an elbow in the body, like the eye only knows what the eye knows and nose only knows what the nose knows, right? And it's fine for everybody to coagulate the information like, oh, so we are healthy, or no, that part's not very healthy. Yeah.
I think what's resonating for me is that, yes, while you can share what you know, you can also ask to clarify what you don't know.
Yeah.
And you can ask that from anybody. And whoever who has that information or that answer is the person you need to ask
Yes.
from, not just
God,
everyone else
you just like
except.
trigger me.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the things that really bugs me is like, why do people like, they have a thing that they need to know, but they ask everybody except the person who
the
has
sauce. The sauce.
It's like, why? Why would you do that?
Oh.
Yeah, but I get it. Sometimes it's scary to ask a person direct.
Yeah.
But maybe direct is the best place to go.
Totally. Or maybe they feel intimidated by the person,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. No, I would definitely feel that. I'm definitely guilty of that. Asking 10,001 people except for the person themselves.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you have so many things going on, maybe in the grand scheme of things, that's the one mental load that you can take off your plate.
Or you could always Google search.
Also true.
Yeah.
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 So ask and share. I think it goes both ways.
ask
You're
and
not
share.
just sharing information, but you're also asking to clarify. Yeah.
Don't assume.
Don't
Don't assume, because a lot of people have a lot of preconceived notions about things, and then, they just kind of like, it's going to be this way. You don't even give the situation to kind of like evolve, and then you just kind of assume that it's going to turn out like that, and I think that's not really helping in the situation, so I think it's just really important, there is power in not assuming, and that is key,
That's true, yeah. I think a powerful person is someone who's willing to test their assumptions. Yeah.
And I think just, I guess, building on the point we're talking about, the whole asking and sharing, there's also a level of, I lost my train of thought.
That's fine. It's happened before. Shout out to Kun from episode I don't know what. But the series is not called Leading from the Messy Middle for nothing. You collect your thoughts. You collect your thoughts.
Dissipated.
Yeah.
It's
Is that the word?
okay. You just drink more coffee later, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, I had such a good question as well, but I forgot.
Never mind, just collect it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll continue the conversation
Yes.
first.
Yeah.
So do we have any
that's so
tips
funny.
for people who want to be in power?
Like closing tips, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the take-home closing tip if you want to step into your power?
Yeah.
I'll offer my favorite crunchy tidbit. When I work across a lot of like client organizations, the one thing that drives me a bit bonkers is what I call the conspiracy of stupidity. right? One day I shall write a book.
Many books, I think, shall.
No, but it's funny and sad at the same time. And what I mean is, it's the phenomenon of that I know, that we know that something is not working. But let's all conspire to not share the information with each other. In other words, let's conspire to keep each other very stupid, even though it hurts us, right? And when I ask as a consultant, like, so why don't you just share that information to the people who need to know? Then it's like 10,001 excuses, all very valid, all very true. But it keeps you in a position that doesn't help you, and it's very disempowering. Not just for you, but everybody else involved in a situation. So it's like, that's why it's like a conspiracy, right? And if I lean back again to that knowledge is power thing, it's just very, very helpful if we conspire to make each other smarter about like what could work better for us. Or rather see a conspiracy of mutual intelligence and wisdom. Yeah, rather than a conspiracy of stupidity. That's my thing. You want to be powerful? Share what you know, and you know a lot more than you think. Starting off with what is going on inside you. That is a key piece of knowledge nobody has. Yeah.
I need to buy your book when it's out.
A signed copy.
Yeah, I need to buy your book when it's out. Tips on owning your power. I think for the past, years of like working and dealing with so many different people as well myself, I think in a lot of ways it's just understanding, being able to understand the thing, and what I felt like, how I have made a few mistakes along the way is that, I have not checked on things, like for example, if let's say, this is the current project or the situation, I would immediately, think that, it will turn out this way, have a lot of assumptions. For me, I felt a lot of the things that really got me, slow me down in terms of like trying to make better decisions is a lot of assumptions, So I think that the best way is to really, like what you were talking about, test out the assumption, and I think that really has supported me, being open-minded, going in there. There are times that you just need to take some calculated risk. If you need to do it, just do it, because you never know what's going to pan out of it. So, remove any assumption, take some calculated risk, and sometimes just go with it. Don't wait for all the ducks to be in one row and then, you start like doing something, know. So I think that's key. And
there's nothing quite like the powerful knowledge you get from the mistakes you have made along the way.
Totally.
You will never forget those lessons.
Oh, yes. I will write a book too.
Yes.
I would buy that book too.
Yeah. If you wrote a book, what's the book title?
Don't be dumb.
Are you speaking to yourself or other?
I mean, we are walking mirrors of each other. You know that, right? In some ways. Yeah. So yeah.
Don't be dumb.
Don't be dumb.
Don't be dumb.
Parting words.
Next to the conspiracy of stupidity. We're gonna get Azrin's book title next. Share.
I think for me, power, the word never really resonated because I never felt powerful in a way that you would think power like manifests itself. And so I think my parting words is to find a word that makes sense for you. And for me, that's space. Take up space. And for me, right now in this season of my career and life, taking up space is my synonym for being powerful. And in different ways, I try to do that. In different capacities, I try to do that. And I think another reminder is that while you may be in a space or I may be in a space of feeling powerful today, I can very well go back to the cycle of feeling imposter syndrome tomorrow. Yeah. Or like before lunch, feel powerful, after lunch, feel like crap. And it's an ongoing cycle of feeling okay, but also managing that different levels of okayness. Yeah.
It's okay to be not okay.
I think it's probably healthy. I would actually be very scared of someone who just walked around feeling powerful all the time.
I know.
There's something very, very wrong down here.
Yeah. And even if you are scared to be powerful, it's worth a shot to try it in small ways.
Yeah.
Every day is an incremental effort to being what you hope to be at the end of the day.
Yeah. Speak even if your voice shakes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
That's I think an activist said that.
Oh.
Yeah. I can't remember her name right now. But I think that's
Wow.
Yeah.
Loves.
Yes.
Well, on that note,
On that note,
I think we've reached the natural end to this episode.
yes.
Yeah.
And we hope you all feel powerful moving forward in your careers and days and lives. And if not, you can revisit episode 1 to 5.
Yes, and it will be an endless cycle of episode 1 to 5 as you keep learning to step into your power.
Yes.
Yeah, so join us for the final episode of this limited series.
Find your thrive.
Find your tribe. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.